Welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique, that show where passion meets excellence. Now, I'm going to be discussing 3 promising talents with you. Provided they're chosen by Hugo Broos, I think they're going to shine in Morocco 2025 this year. Let me give you those names, starting with Rushwin Dotley of Kaizer Chiefs. The 22-year-old's left-footed central defender gained national attention when Kaizer Chiefs reportedly bid 3 million rand to sign him. Dotley has captained South Africa's under-23. His aerial ability coupled with excellent positional awareness will make him an asset for the senior side. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Moving on to number 2 is Wandile Duba of Kaizer Chiefs. Since making his first team debut against Golden Arrows on the 31st of December 2022, the versatile attacking 20-year-old midfielder from the Kaizer Chiefs Academy is known for his pace, strength, and clinical strikes. Hugo Broos, are you listening? Now, the next player is Mohau Nkota of Orlando Pirates. The likes of Nkota and Mofokeng made their debuts as teens and have played such crucial roles in Pirates' success. The 20-year-old, who only made his senior debut on the 25th of October 2024 against Amazulu, has become one of the most important young players in South Africa. Brian Mofokeng, I know he's going to disagree with something on that list. Brian, what do you disagree with? Let's hear it.
Did you have to mention my surname when you're making sure I'm going to talk about William Mofokeng? I think for me, that's the player. That for me is a player that has done so well.
Yes.
They call him the president of the 2000s.
Yes.
That's what they call him.
Captain number 2000.
Yeah, you saw him in a derby. He was very quiet, but when he needed the most, he pounced and got the penalty for Orlando Pirates. Another player who shone in the same derby this past weekend was Nduduze Shabalala.
Oh,
21 years of age for Kaizer Chiefs. Brilliant player to talk about, absolutely brilliant to talk about, one of the players. The Rushwin Dotley story is an interesting one, Ade. Because if you recall, Cape Town Spurs got relegated, but Chiefs bought him from the team after they got relegated to bring him to Kaizer Chiefs.
Yes.
And he has been one of a stellar performer at the back for Kaizer Chiefs. Here they're leaking goals because of their sort of issues they have at the back also as a team. But he also was the captain of the team they played in the COSAFA Cup recently for South Africa that finished as runners-up in the tournament. So he's one for I believe that he's one for the future. He's very good as a player.
So do all these youngsters make it to your side to represent South Africa in Morocco?
They still have a lot of work to do, I believe. Mohau Nkota, for me, we saw him on his way to Derby this past weekend when he played over the past weekend when he didn't have his best matches. And eventually substituted and they brought somebody else in. Mofokeng played the whole 90 minutes. Shabalala was substituted as well.
Mofokeng was causing a whole lot of trouble in that match. I mean, the final penalty came from him. He definitely has to represent the national team, I believe.
He's been there. He's been there a few times as a sub, so looking forward to see if he's going to make the cut. They eventually do go to the the AFCON. We also have the World Cup qualifiers coming next month, so he's going to get a massive look in going forward as a player.
Yes.
But he's one for the future. He's only 20. It is him and Mohau Nkota. They're both 20 years old. You're talking about Shabalala is 21. Vilagazi, who came off the bench, Funo Vilagazi, another player for Kaizer Chiefs. So what was interesting about the derby we just saw recently is that there were so many young players in the squad. And some of those are born in and around Soweto. It is a very good thing to see.
Oh man, so those were my African diamonds under the age of 23 in the PSL. I have big hopes for those players.
Not too shabby, yeah?
Yeah, not too shabby indeed. Now let's talk about Morocco 2025 because I can hardly wait. The good news is that Nigerians are in the same group with South Africa because I think South African football is in a really good place at the moment, and I think very few teams want to play them. They're in Group B, Egypt, South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe. Group F, I'm seeing Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Gabon, Mozambique. I'm actually looking for the groups with the COSAFA regions in them. Group A, okay, Morocco, Mali, Zambia, Comoros. Oh, man, Brian.
Listen, the good thing about COSAFA is the fact that they have a record number of teams, 7 teams, more than any other grouping, any other zone in the AFCON this coming year. That's number one. Number two, is that you're seeing so many familiar teams that know each other. You know, Group B, for an example, you have Egypt, South Africa, Angola, and Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Angola were a story, that's a beautiful story to tell for Angola. How they finished top of their group, how they walloped even Ghana, you know, for them to be able to sit where they are and they find themselves at a tournament proper. South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe know each other. They know each other very well because they play regularly in the COSAFA tournament. Egypt, last time they played South Africa, they lost that game in 2019, where Thembi Nkosi scored a beauty for South Africa that year. You know, so that for me is an interesting group because remember, number 1, 2 got advanced to the next round, plus best third place teams will actually join them. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen going forward in the tournament.
All right, so the COSAFA regions, now tell me, realistically, Brian, pretend the cameras are not here and nobody's watching. Tell me, realistically, how far do you think these COSAFA regions would go? South Africa, for me, I've put them down as semi-finalists at least because I think the talent in the country at the moment is just incredible. South Africa's on fire at the moment, so they're in my top 4. Okay. And for you, Zimbabwe, Comoros, are they there to make up the numbers?
You know, I'm looking
should they only book a few weeks at their hotels because they'll be leaving soon?
Comoros actually surprised a lot of people to qualify for this tournament. Remember, they're in a very tight group, how they managed to advance and get into the tournament proper. So let's start from Group A, for an example. You got Zambia and Comoros in the same group as Mali and Morocco.
Okay.
You expect Morocco to advance.
Morocco has to.
You know, then you expect a Mali on paper to advance in that group, all right? So Zambia can be one of the best third place teams that can actually advance into the next round. That's one to look at. Then you got Group B, where you got Egypt, South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe.
Egypt, South Africa.
South Africa, Egypt are the ones to look at. Angola will surprise a lot of people in that group. I believe Angola will cause a serious problem in that group.
Well, maybe with their choreography. They like to dance when they score goals, but I think it's Egypt and South Africa to go through in that group.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brian, so nice having you on the show all the time. Brian has to catch flights, not feelings. I just want to say that. Well, after the break, we'll be talking to another world-class analyst. Don't go anywhere.